Hey there everybody, it's Nathan Cool with nathancoolphoto.com, and in this video I want to start touching on the subject of getting clients for real estate photography and some of the marketing aspects of that. Now there will be a series of other videos that I'll be doing regarding this subject. It's an important subject to really start encountering not just what we do to get sales, but what's behind that also, so that you get a full understanding of it. It's been a very common question that I get asked. You work really hard on your skill, you get it down pat, you're ready to go out there, and then who do you get for clients? So some of the things I talk about in the business techniques book is, getting your first client through some of the local lure techniques and whatnot, and that's really important. And by the way, you won't need any of the books for this particular video, but if you are interested in anything in my real estate photography series, I do have a link to the full series in the description for this video, as well as other pertinent links that you may be interested in as well. So anyways, when we talk about the marketing for real estate photography, you might think that we're just going to do an email blast. We're just going to hit everybody up that we can. We're going to start getting some calls. Well, that would be one of your first biggest mistakes that you'll make trying to sell real estate photography. I'm going to show you a couple numbers why that is. Bear in mind that you want to make a very good first impression. You don't want to have your name out there as a person who doesn't do very good photography. So the first thing though we have to understand is, before we even target, whether it's going to be through an email blast, whether it's going to be through social media, whether it's going to be some other technique that you do, you have to be able to understand that client. One of the first things you'll hear from people is like, well, real estate photographers are cheap. They're not going to pay for much. It's so hard to get them to use my services, but that's an overgeneralization. And let me show you why. Let's take a look at this first statistic. So this first statistic is from the National Association of Realtors. It comes back in 2014. But the fact is that after 5 years, there's a huge dropout rate. Only about 13% of all realtors are still doing real estate after 5 years. 87% of them drop out during that 5 years. And there's a reason for that, because it is a very tough business. When you might be working a job before this, which according to the NAR also, is that most people, the larger percentage of realtors, this was their second career. So a lot of them had already made money doing something else. If they're right out of college, they're go-getters, they're really going to try to do something with this, they're young, they're getting the allure of fast, easy money. It just doesn't happen. So you have to earn a lot of stripes. And let me show you the second number on that, which really jives with that. So taking a look at this second statistic, this is from payscale.com. Take it for what it's worth, because this is looking at just kind of average pays. But if we look at the pay experience from the level of real estate agents in the Los Angeles area, we can see that there's almost nothing that they make for living in Los Angeles during the first 5 years. That's during that drop-off rate. So it isn't until after about 4 years that they really start going up in pay. And that's when things aren't just doubling and tripling, it's going up very fast and very exponentially. So a lot of the clients that you want to target aren't those first ones out there. They're not the 87%. And if you start sending out email blasts or just doing cold calling, showing up to open houses to pass out your cards, whatever that method is, chances are you're not going to be hitting a long-lasting client. Now, I've been doing real estate photography for a number of years, and I plan to still be doing it for a long time to come still. I couldn't rely on my business by having just realtors that come and go. Now that does happen. I do get hired by somebody. They might hire me for one shoot. I might not hear from them again. Sometimes I'll hear from them once a year, and eventually I've run into some even that have taken on another career because they just can't handle it. But the bulk of my clients are people that have been doing this for a very long time. Now there is a weeding out process as you start getting established in real estate photography, where I talk about some of the price throttling in the biz tech book. that with that price throttling, for instance, you can then start eliminating some of the clients, those that are the low-hanging fruit. They're really not worth it because your prices are starting to go up, attracting newer clients. And by the way, this is another point that I really want to stress on another video, is that you can't compete on price. If you're looking at Obeo and some of these others that are just knocking out what I call photo mills, you can't compete with their price. Now, maybe when you get started, but you need to compete with quality and other things. The 13% of realtors that do make it, they know, the most of them know, the majority of them know that it's the quality of the services that they hire that brings them to the top by showing that they're a quality agent. They know how to then do real marketing. And those then are the agents that get hired to do more listings. Then they're the ones that get more listings. They're the ones that hire you. So for instance, I have some clients that hire me even during the worst of times, the toughest of times. I'll still get multiple shoots a month from them because they're getting that many listings a month. But if you start sending out just a full blast and you're starting to get people that are trying to negotiate you down, talking about price, you know, and arguing about stuff because, oh, I can go to some photo mill and they'll name somebody and it'll be so much cheaper. It's like, well, go for it. Those are the realtors that they don't last for a reason. So the 87%, if you're targeting them, remember that they're probably trying to save a lot of money. And by saving money, because they're not making much, they're also not investing in their future. And that means that they're not going to be here for long. Now comes the hard part. You're going to target some of the 13%. You can research through a number of different sites, for instance, Realtor.com and Zillow, whatever. You can look up agents, find them. You can find through a number of different ways how long a realtor has been doing business, how many listings they do get. And this is what I also then recommend during the local lure, is finding somebody who's local in your area and start with them. So let's start from some of the basics on this, just before we get into some of the other videos which will be coming down the pike. Is that you want to be able to target the 13%. You don't really want to target the 87%. It isn't to say that you aren't going to take work from them, but you don't want to put in a marketing effort that's just going to go out to agents that aren't worthwhile. You also don't want to start out by just blasting everybody. That would be a big mistake. Your first impression will be the worst impression because you haven't been doing it long enough. I did photography for decades before I got into real estate photography, and my first couple of shoots, I look at them now and it's like, ugh, who would hire me to do that? Because I didn't have, no matter how much photography experience you have, you don't have real estate photography experience if you're just starting to do this. If you are feeling comfortable with it though, start with 1 or 2 clients. Really see what's up against that. That's your investment of time. Once you start building that up, then start targeting your other clients and make sure that you're targeting those you can. Now, there's the caveat to this also. I work with some very junior real estate agents, and it's very special because there's especially one in particular that I know. She happens to be in her late 20s, but she's a go-getter. When I first met her and I saw what she was doing, the approach that she took to getting her places staged, getting them prepped, how she was going to market everything, I could see right off the bat that this was a person who knew how to market. This is a person who then knew what they wanted to do to go out and get professional services. She wasn't arguing about price. She wasn't arguing about turnaround. She knew the quality that she wanted to do. I knew she would last compared to others that are even a little bit older than her, and I watched just the opposite happen where they would try to argue for price. Let's not do this service. They weren't quite ready. Can I get this on the market tonight? You know, they're just a list and wish type of agent. Those fall into the 87%. They won't be there long enough to sustain you through your market. So anyways, I've got more videos related to this subject that will be coming up, and I'll intermix those with the various tutorials that I have on using photography techniques for real estate photography. If you do want to see more, you enjoyed this video, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. It won't cost anything, and as soon as one of these videos is posted, you'll be the first to know. Thanks a lot for watching. Until next time, take care, be safe, and get out there and shoot something.